Go ahead and hit record, spotlight my screen and get started right now. I apologize for the delay, and we'll be going into it. And please, I'll mute you all, but unmute and it goes right to my ears, as you know. And we'll go ahead and get started. Okay. Hello, good morning. I have a couple of announcements. One is that the tea cart will be coming through in a minute. Coffee, tea. Yeah. Just to say, the thing I love about this class is that it's social. And the thing that's a little challenging sometimes is during class when it gets social, it's a little hard for me to feel like I keep a beat on what I'm doing. So if you can keep the talk during the class quiet or minimal, that would be awesome for me to maintain it. And for some people, it also helps. They would really like a quiet practice. So I'd just ask you to see if that can be something in your consciousness for me. The more exciting announcement is that I knew how I have a new grandbaby, and he was born yesterday. And mommy and baby are all fine. Everybody's fine, except it turned out she had back labor, so who knew that sucked. But she pushed him out, and he's fine. And his name is Oscar Lewis Livingstone Curtis. And it is the Livingstone of Livingstone, I presume. That my stepson, his mom is Livingstone and from Dr. Livingstone. So there you go. Right? And his brother is Webb Henry Edward Curtis. So Oscar Lewis Livingstone Curtis. So they both have a blah, 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 blah. So, but he's going to go by Ozzy. So we have Ozzy and Webby. So now the whole universe is revolving around them. So uh, now I'd like to start lying down and invite you as you work during the class today to sort of notice where, first of all, like what's your energy level this morning as you start lying down on your back. Choose to see whether you want knees bent or knees straight up on a bolster or not. And I'd like to start with just the breathing and the feeling of where am I energy wise today? Sometimes we wake up and we really are pretty tired. And so being here, you already did all the work to get here, and maybe you need to take it a little easy. That's the hard part done. Or maybe today is a day when you feel pretty energetic and you could use a little muscle action, a little engagement, get that blood flowing, a little bit of strengthening work might be just the ticket today. And maybe it's somewhere in between and maybe it changes. Yeah, maybe halfway through the class, you're like, I'm done, I'm out. No problem. Modify as you need to and as you wish during the class as a whole. As you start, make sure you're not too cold. If you're hot, kick off your socks, and we'll start. Let's bend those knees. If they were straight, bend those knees and bring them a little wider than you normally would, and rock up onto your heels, and simply move a little bit into this action, which is it's as if you're lying in okay, so visualize this. You're in a pie plate and there's dough underneath you. And you're digging your heels down into the dough and pushing it away from you. And as you do that, you flatten out your back and then you relax. And then again, you dig in with your heels, press the sticky mat down and towards the foot of your mat and posteriorly tilt your pelvis, which means you rock your belly button backwards and downwards and see if you can press the curvy part of your low back flat. And then you relax it. Now, if the position of your feet isn't working for you, shift them to a different position. If lifting up your toes makes your ankles feel sore or uncomfortable, keep your feet flat. You don't need to lift up onto your heels. And as you push and hold and release, push, hold, and release, feel as much as you can where you have muscle action happening, where that muscle action seems sensible and perhaps even required, and maybe where it's not, like say your mandibular muscles, the muscles of your jaw. Maybe you don't need to clench your teeth like you're holding on to a pipe in your mouth or something like that, right? You don't really need to do this with your teeth clenched. But can you relax your jaw and notice now what happens with your spine? You can even exaggerate the push flattening of the low back and then notice the recoil, the push and the gentle almost gentle bouncing back of the curve of your spine. Can anybody feel that? Now you can let your feet relax and you can do it in a gentle mode. And this one is more like you're rocking the cradle. The idea is that you lightly push, you feel your bones inside your body slide backwards in your skin a little bit, and then you release. And that one is where you're simply push, release, push, release, push, release, and you're rocking front to back, rocking towards the head of your mat and towards the foot of your mat. Can anybody feel how your bones move inside your skin here? And so we're rocking, rocking, rocking. And this seems a little bit weird, but it's a gentle way of loosening up your spinal column, of creating a little gentle movement. And it can be so soft that you really don't feel your bones moving much. But notice that your skin pretty much kind of sticks where it is. It's not like we're sliding. That's part of why we're on sticky mats, is that we want to be able to really stick there. But can you feel parts of your body moving and other parts not moving? All right. And then pause and rest and just notice the flow of energy, blood, lymph, all the other flows in the body as you breathe into your belly. Now, I'd like to start in a position where we take the soles of the feet together, let the knees go out to the side. For me, I like to take two blocks, one on either side. When I bring the soles of my feet together, I rotate the blocks to an angle. So they are tilted, quite literally tilted up to the side. Now, the flat edge of the block supports the outer edge of my thigh and calf. For me, I choose the blocks on their middle height, and they're really kind of skating on one edge instead of being flat on the floor. And therefore, the flat surface is what is against my leg. Any way that you find comfortable supporting your legs is fine. Some of you will find you'd prefer not to support the legs because the stretch to the inner thigh and inner groin area feels quite fine. And indeed, it's a positive stretch. It feels right. And therefore, you don't need anything. And then if you can bring your hands to your belly or just your attention, don't need to actually palpate if you're not really into that, but find your abdomen, your belly button, and breathe into it and expand fully. And then exhale and do that same posterior tilt we were doing before, but this time without pushing with your feet. Just curl your navel to your spine and try to flatten your back. Sometimes that enhances the inner groin stretch. Inhale, relax your spine. Let your buttock muscles relax. Inhale, breathe fully. Balloon your belly, then ha. And this is where you squeeze all the air out and cinch up your navel to your spine. 3 more of these at your own pace. Exhaling through nose or mouth or both. When you've done your 3, gently remove your blocks, reach for the leg bones, pull the knees up gently towards your armpits, let the legs be wider. Then instead of bringing them right together, bring your knees towards your armpits and rock slowly side to side, massaging out your back. And of course, we don't force the knee up to a position where your hip joint feels squashed uncomfortably, but you can hug the knee in comfortably close. Your tailbone will naturally curl up, and you may even find that you get a little lengthening in the lumbar muscles, the back muscles along that low back area. Rocking side to side. All right. Now from here, I plant my feet flat once more. What I'd like to do is the following. Place a bolster under my head. Now, for some of you, you'll say, bolster, that's too high. I don't like that. You could fold up a blanket instead. So I'll show the blanket alternative. I'm just going to tell you, I'm not super in love with this green, but I was being lazy this morning. So there it is. Now, you don't need a block between the thighs because we'll be doing a side body bend moving through the middle and over to the other side. Looks like this. I stack my feet, stack my knees, stack my hands, then slowly pull as if I'm drawing an arrow back along a bow and arrow, opening up the chest to the right. Maybe the arm stays close, or maybe it extends out to the side. Then I slowly reach up and over and come back to my left side body. If you're okay with the bolster, I like the bolster simply because it gives my shoulder a little less of a felt sense of being squashed. As I then twist to the right, I can keep my arm wrapped around my ribs to protect my right shoulder as I turn my chin to the right, any amount. I can even open up my right knee and then slowly come on back to the left side. Yeah. So this is a slow twist to the right with an optional expansion into Supta Baddha Konasana, the pose we were just in. Then close the clamshell all the way back. Breathing as you go. Any modifications you find helpful here are great, and slowing it down can be one of the best strategies of all, so that each tiny little aspect of this has a feeling that you have time to notice what the sensations attending are and whether you need to make any changes. Let's do 3 more of these, linking the breath to the movement. And perhaps you inhale the arm all the way across and open, and exhale to come back to the side position or some other version of it. 2 more at your own pace. Ah, protecting your shoulder, making sure there's no strain, modifying in any way that serves you. And after your last one, whichever number you've chosen to do, pause. Beautiful. Yeah, these are great. We'll meet back on your left side. Or if you were on your right, that's fine. Then we'll switch over to the other side. Take your time. If you're still doing the first set, keep doing the first set. Sometimes I get a little too speedy, and then you just ignore me. Knees in front, palms together, slow rolling of the shoulder open. Maybe you keep that left arm wrapped right around your rib cage so that left shoulder stays soft and easy. Maybe you open up the left knee and pause in Supta Baddha Konasana, both knees wide. Back up and over. I like to take that slowly, closing the clamshell for some can be a little nudgy. Sometimes I even use my hand to help the knee come back up towards the opposite. Yeah, so you don't need to work this in any way that doesn't feel comfortable. Breathing into it. A couple more of these. So it's the whole body. First, just the upper body, then the legs join you. And let's do, say, 2 more. Your pace. Beautiful. Linking breath to movement. What does that mean to you? How does that function for you? Yeah, very good. Nicely done. All right. And when your body's done, you rest on that side body and just stay quiet, easy, soft, letting the breath flow. Now, gently roll back onto your back, hug your knees into your chest, make a couple of knee circles to massage out your low back, one direction and then the other, just a little reset. And then I'd like to meet you in a position of Viparita Karani where the legs are up the wall. For some, having a bolster under your pelvis and your tailbone will feel good. For others, it will feel better either to not use a bolster at all and just be right flat on the floor, or perhaps to use, say, for example, a folded blanket. So what I've done is I've taken the blanket in the sort of stack shape that I found it in, folded it across the same line of the fringe, and I make this sort of strudel, what I call the strudel. I have a deep and abiding love of all things philo. Just saying. All right. You know, just so you know that. Well, block optional. I do love the block, especially when I'm feeling there's some sacroiliac discomfort. Your sacroiliac joint is the one that's diagonal here. And for some of us, when we get back pain, it's right in there. It's actually your sacrum. That's really kind of a little tweaky. So I will use a block to help stabilize my pelvis while I'm twisting and moving. And that can help me kind of let that area ease itself without niggling into the area where there is the irritation. So as my friend Karen Steffen says, don't irritate the irritation. So, great question. So, Viparita Karani is normally, done against the wall. We don't need the wall. In fact, we don't really want the wall. So, Julia, that's beautiful. You can stay right there. She's doing a gorgeous version of real Viparita Karani, but I lied because it's going to be ersatz Viparita Karani, meaning we're going to be away from the wall so that we can twist. So all you would need to do, Julia, for example, is roll to the side and scooch backwards, and you will be able to do the twisting. So if your bolster is near the wall, just see that you have about shin distance or a little more between you and the wall. What we'd like to be able to do is to have your arms at a comfortable width side to side, your block squeezed between the thighs, and then we'll begin slow twisting from right to left. Now, it's really quite a small twist initially, and the knees are bent to decrease the lever arm. So when you have long lever arm, you have a lot of force, a lot of pressure. When you shorten the lever arm, in this case, your legs, by bending your knees, there's less pressure. Check now as you set yourself up. No need to rush. To bring your feet over your hips, bend the knees as much as you need to, or if for you straightening your legs feels fine, let your feet be right above your hips, ideally. If the place of the bolster, if the bolster is too high, add that blanket instead, switch it up, or maybe you don't want any height under your hips. Now, let's start by bending the knees a lot, and then we'll go back to the straightening slowly and if appropriate. So, slowly rotating from side to side, massaging out the back of your pelvis. There's even a little bit of my low lumbar spine up on my bolster. Not a lot because I really don't want a curve in my low back. Well, I don't want an arch, like, excuse me, I want more of a hammocky shape in my low back. So as your hips and knees and toes rotate right, turn your chin left, keep your shoulders grounded. And as your knees and legs go left, turn your chin to your right shoulder. Again, keep both shoulders grounded. You can always pull your hands down and even hold on to the side little handles of your bolster. I kind of like that. I feel like I'm kind of, just all me alone in the world with my bolster and I'm all good. So, okay, never mind. So as you're going from side to side, if it's proving to be, yeah, this feels fine, it feels kind of easy, slowly kick your feet up a little higher. There's no real, like, it's better if they're higher or lower. No, it's more like what feels right to you? Heels right in close to your buttocks or heels way up high, like the mast of a sailing ship, tilting from side to side. Breathing and slow down your twist, particularly if your legs are longer and straighter. The slower, the better. And the reason I like to pull on the straps is that it gives me leverage with which to activate my arms in a slightly different way. But you can push down into the floor. You can make fists and kind of hitchhiker fist the floor as you go from side to side. Ideally, we're keeping our shoulders completely grounded here with this one, not letting either shoulder blade rise up. And if your feet and ankles are feeling uncomfortable in any way, allow them to be relaxed. But if you can maintain full flexion and spread all 10 toes, that activation of your lower leg is part of the equation, ideally. And so going side to side, going right to left. Oh, I'm sorry, right to left. Yeah, right to left. That's it, Lisa. You got it. Yep. Yeah, that's it. Very good. Mm-hmm. Breathing. When you're starting to feel a little tired, bend your knees. Good. Very good. All right. Then we'll meet back in the center. Place your feet flat. Now take away your block and ground your feet and bring your arms down to the sides of the body. And we'll take a couple of bridge poses where you press your feet into the floor, squeeze your buttocks to lift your hips off of the support they're on, and then slowly lower them down, resting on the support that you've chosen and completely relax. And then again, press through the balls of the feet, spread your toes, press your heels preferentially, and then lower down and melt into the bolster underneath you or whatever it is underneath you. Two more of these. Press with your heels, squeeze your buttock muscles. You might even shift your head slightly backwards. Feel there a lengthening between your skull and your shoulders. And one more time, bridge lift. And slowly lowered. Here you might reach for your own thigh bones in order to bring the knees into your chest. And now cross your right thigh over your left. So this is an eagle pose, Garudasana. If you can flex your feet without strain, great. That's what I would recommend. If you can bring your thigh bones to come right close together, lovely. Eventually, we're looking to try to make it so there's no space between your right thigh and the top of your left. But everybody's body shape is different. And so you might find there is space between your thighs, and that's fine as long as it's not stressful to your hips, knees, or ankles. Hug the knees in close to your chest. Reach your arms to a comfortable angle, and we'll go back into our left to right rotations, side to side. Only focus particularly on when your legs go to the right. The feeling we're looking for is that your right calf is dragging the skin over your left hip. Yeah, like what are you talking about? So go back and forth. When you go to the left, notice how it feels. Okay, it's kind of tangled. And now when you go to the right, find your right calf. Sometimes even if you put your hand on your right calf, okay, that's my right calf. Now put your hand on your left thigh. Now in the twist to the right, can you kind of pull the skin of your left thigh down towards your knee a little bit using your right leg to do it? Does that make a little more sense? And now really feel into your left hip and see if there's any stretch there on your IT band. Slowly return, maybe one more each way, one or two. You guys feeling that a little bit more now? Pulling that skin over that bony process, that outer left greater trochanter. And then slowly back to the center. Now pause in the middle and gently, I like to use my hands here, gently untangle your legs and then slowly kick them both out wide. I know you have neighborly airspace considerations, so you might just negotiate with your neighbor, let your knees be as bent as they need to be, and take a moment to kick out through your heels in a wide-legged, it's like you were in a seated forward fold position with your legs in a wide triangle, but you fell over backwards. Breathe into your inner thigh. Maybe even flex your feet. Some people will feel that straightening the knees is a great plan, even grabbing onto the toes. For others, that's crazy pants. You would never do that. Big breath into your spine. Ah, big breath into your belly. Ah, and then melt the legs, bend the knees, soften like a sleepy spider. Let all your limbs curl back in. And now this time we're going to cross your left thigh over your right. Flex your feet again if it's workable for your feet and ankles today. If your feet and shins and feet are sore, of course, relax your feet. Then again, hug your knees in any amount to your chest, not to stress out your left hip in particular. And then plant your arms at an angle that's comfortable. Any amount of elbows down into the floor, I find really helpful pushing down into the floor, particularly with my elbows, not so much not necessarily your hands, but if you can, your whole arm to keep your shoulder girdle grounded. And then we'll twist to the left first. Then this is where we get to say, okay, where is my left calf? And where is my right outer thigh? And can I get the felt sense that I'm kind of pulling the skin of my right thigh down towards my outer right knee? And then over back to the center and off to that right side. Squeezing the inner thighs together. Maybe turn your chin left as your legs go right. Breathe into your left lung. Ah, back through the center, hug the belly in, chin right, legs go left. Now, I have to confess, for me, the stretch I feel on this right hip is not the same as the stretch I felt on my left hip. It's just my left hip is just tighter. And you might find there's a difference for you from side to side. Anybody feel a difference side to side? If you're feeling that the difference is now I can't breathe because it hurts so much, that's when you need to back off. Okay, so then we don't go that side, hardly at all, if at all, barely that side, a hair's breadth in that direction and shy of pain. If a hair's breadth brings pain, we leave that out too. Once you've done a number that feels pretty even, come on back to the center. Take your time, though. There's no need to rush, and we'll bring the legs right up to the sky in uh, any amount of straightness that you can manage in your knees is lovely, though the knees can be as bent as they need to be. Separate your legs and feet hips distance apart. Stretch your arms up over your shoulders, your feet up over your hips, and circle both wrists and ankles as broadly and as expansively as you can. Imagine your whole body raising its eyebrows. You can even raise your own eyebrows, that very Dali expression. You know how he always has pictures of Dali, he's always got his eyes and eyeballs raised and, and go the other way. Or the guy who plays Igor in Young Dr. Frankenstein. It's pronounced Igor. Walk like this. No, like this. All right, let's bend the knees and roll to the side. And come on up. Gotta love a little, you know, funny movie stuff during yoga. Okay, now where I'd like to go is into a version of a core strengthener that looks like bridge, but isn't bridge. And you don't need a blanket underneath you. You might want to put one hand behind your head. When we lift the upper body off the floor, the temptation is to jaw and the neck. And instead, what we want to have the feeling, we're focusing in right here, right? If you put your hands where your ribs open up like a curtain, your ribs have this arced shape here. They meet at your breastbone and they go down and out in a curve, just like curtains on the kitchen window, right? So the muscle action we're looking for is right at the base of your breastbone and above your belly button. So these upper rectus abdominis muscles, your upper abdominal muscles tend to be a little less focused on. We focus on, the lower abs all the time for a good reason, but we also need strength in the upper. But without, so as you're doing this, the felt sense is that your head is just resting in your hand and you're at the beach and it's very lovely. You'll see. Okay, so we're on our back, option for a blanket, but we will be lifting up your head. The idea will be this: our arms extend out to the sides, palms face up, right hand behind your head. And then as you lift your shoulders, you drop your head into your hands and put your head back down. And then lift your shoulders and now gently wing your elbow in and out to see what angle works for you for your right elbow underneath your head as you lift up and then lower down. So your low back is flat, your heels and toes and balls are flat, your feet are wide, and your lumbar spine is completely flat as you lift and lower. Now it's super challenging to try not to use your neck. So what I do is I use more force, more pressure of my hand, really cupping the skull and kind of squeezing gently my thumb and index finger kind of gently push into my neck muscles right at the base of my skull. And I'm using pressure of my hand on my head to send a message that my head is falling down, not lifting up. So I'm almost pressing my head down into my hand. Not really, but I'm trying to let gravity take my head and my rectus abdominis muscles bring my shoulders off of the mat. Yeah. So I'll come right over and do it right by you. So we're our right hand is behind our head and our low back is flat. The left arm stretches long next to your left thigh as if you're holding a cantaloupe in your left palm. And then as you lift your shoulders and lower them any amount, we're trying to let the muscle action localize right at the space below your sternum, right in that area. And for some of us, that means we really don't need to lift much at all. Yeah, that's it. Yes, yes. Sometimes you can even feel that right at the place where your bra strap would be, or well, let's just say your bra strap would be, even if you're a man, you know where that is. That's where there's a feeling of contraction and shortening. And then when you put your head down, you really relax for that microsecond. Yeah, and then switch arms and try it on the other side. Yes, Lynn. In the neck and head. Yeah. So the way that so there's no real fix except for resting. So when you're really feeling it in your neck, take both hands behind your head, really grip with your fingers, like massage out your neck a little bit, and really flatten out your low back. and focus in on the felt sense that you're pressing your belly button down and shortening the space between your ribs and your pelvis, and see that your head comes up by virtue of that. So it's more like you're shortening the distance between your ribs and your hips, and hold on with both hands to your head and lift up that way, and see if that helps at all. Exactly. Yeah, so it becomes more of a not, it's almost like you're just shortening the front side of your body and your head doesn't lift up as much, and you really let both hands hold your head. Sometimes that helps. Switching hands and arms if you haven't already, and really see if it can, the impetus for the movement can come from the flattening of your low back and the scrunching of your rib cage, shortening of your rib cage to make you smaller, like you had a slinky and you're squishing it back into slinky shape. Yes, that's it, Sarah. Exactly, Sarah H. Yeah, that's it, Sue. How are you doing here so far? You're probably going like, why am I here? Why did I come to this class? What is this? All right. And then when you've had enough on this second side, take a break and I'll tell you the next one. Sorry for bad news. Next one is more fun, and also less fun. Okay. Right hand behind the head. I'll really use my hand as a kind of a, I'm really gripping my head. And that kind of teaches my brain that my neck is a little less the acting member here. And then I lean and lift to the left. So I go left and back to the center, left. And it's not that I'm trying to bring my right elbow to my left knee, it's that I'm trying to touch my left pinky to my left shin. So it's a side body lift and crunch. But my head, every time I lower down, I rest my head down in my hand, and then I oof and up and over and back down. Oof, up and over. Now you can do this with both hands behind your head. Instead of reaching with your left key, you're reaching with your left elbow. But it's a side body contraction. And then when your body says, you know what, I need a break, you take a break, you massage out your neck, and you really, really rest down. Okay, and then we switch to the other side. So it's the left hand that's reaching. Now, some people do it without even putting their head down in between. They just go left to the middle and left to the middle and left to the middle without putting their head down. I find that if I go left and put my head back down, and then up and to the left and put my head back down, that allows me to have a little less of a feeling that I'm just building up tension in my neck. So it's a
And
side bend. Yes,
question.
question, Debbie. Mhm.
What about using a strap instead of in one hand instead of your hand? I find that much better.
A strap is a fantastic idea. So do you have that strap behind your head, Debbie?
Yes, in one
Oh,
hand.
I
It
love
feels
that.
better on the head.
That's brilliant. So you could take Debbie's online, she's taking a strap, wrapping it around her skull. And I assume, Debbie, you're pulling the strap straight up above you, straight to the sky, and then
Yeah,
lengthening to the side. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. All right, Debbie,
good.
you are
Good.
awesome. That is fantastic.
Excellent.
I
Thank
love
you.
it myself. Thank you. I've just had a revolutionary experience, because I also really find that the neck struggle is a problem. But the thing I love about this strap, thanks to Debbie, is that you can keep your elbow tucked in close to your body. You can still pull the strap upwards and forwards, but let your head fall into it. Wow, that's really nice. So the strap is wrapped around the skull and around roughly my temples, the placement that allows you to pull your head up and feel balanced. It's not really behind your neck. It's really behind where you're more like where your ponytail would be as you lift up and over. There you go, Sherry. Good. I find that too. Yeah, for me, that's a game changer. Can I give you this, Carolyn, and see how you feel about that? So it's you hold it with one hand, you wrap the strap around the back of your skull, and it really goes right around the back. And then you hug it to your temples and hold it a little more straight up in front of your forehead. It's a little bit more like you're that. Remember the joke about the ice cream cone into the forehead? That's the idea. And then you go, oh, there you go. So you're pulling the strap straight up in front of your forehead, maybe even a little bit higher on your head, possibly lower, so that your strap is going straight up to there you go. And it's a little tricky to find the fulcrum of the strap. And then, so now you're pulling your head straight up. Your head is supported like a melon in a string basket. and your head goes straight up, but now you do your side body reach. So with your, you would do it, you reach with your left arm. If your right hand is holding the strap, do your shortening on your left side. That's the way. And then back down. So the head doesn't really go very far. The head is simply being held up by the strap, and then the side body. So it's your left arm that's bringing you to the side. Your right arm is simply pulling you straight up. Your upper body is going to the side. Yeah, there you go. It's not a crossbody twist, it's a lateral. But the strap is simply lifting your head vertically. The strap isn't pulling your head to the side, the strap is pulling your head up. Yeah, that's a tricky one. And then we'll switch sides if you haven't already. And you also might be like, I'm so done with this stupid thing. Okay, totally fine. And then we're going to release the neck. Nice, Milton. Exactly. Side body, low back flat. Exactly. All right. Yes, that's it, Laura. Lord, B. Does that, I think that looks to me like you've got it. Does it feel better? Yeah, you got it. Because the strap is pulling your head straight up, and then your side abdominal muscles are crunching you to the side, which is what we're looking for. All right. Nice, Laura W. Yes. Yes, you totally got it. All right. Take a break. All right. Now, this one is where you put a block under your head. This is the one where we don't lift our head at all, which is great because I know that the head lifting stuff can be a lot. And we will do some stuff to release our neck subsequently as well. Now, the head stays on the block, the feet flat, knees bent, legs come in and up. Now, knees bent works great. Block in your hands. The idea is this: you slowly lower your right leg past the block between your scissoring legs and then lower your left leg. So you're slowly moving your block, keeping your back flat the whole time. This is not a speedy maneuver. This is a slow molasses or even peanut butter, not fast. If it's easy for you and you want it more intense, then you straighten the legs more and lower the legs closer to the floor. For some, though, it's better to keep the knees more bent and more right above your hips because that allows you to keep your low back really flat and not overwork your back muscles. Now, if it's too easy for you, you simply can put the block between the thighs or knees and simply do leg lowers and lifts. This one really puts the pedal to the metal. And the idea is that you're doing the same posterior tilt with just the legs lowering and lifting, squeezing a block between the thighs or ankles if you choose. I love the weavy feeling of the blocks going between the scissors. And anybody who actually likes the feeling of lifting up your shoulders can come off the block and do this one with your upper body lifting. So scissoring with your upper body lifted is not for those of us for whom the neck is already feeling taxed and uncomfortable. And then come on down. Huh. Slow body reach. Now, head, shoulders resting. Blanket can be super nice here. Massaging your neck for a moment can also be great. And then kick your legs any amount wide, arms wide, starfish stretch. Kick through your heels, spread through all 10 fingers. Scoop the belly in and press down with your calves. Squeeze your buttock muscles and tuck your tailbone up to the ceiling and try to flatten your low back. I find I really cannot. My low back is not on the floor. My calves are, my heels are not. Breathing, reaching long limbs, and then slowly melt into the floor, and then slowly, gently walk, gently slide, bring yourself back in to feet flat, knees bent. And then we'll roll over onto the side body and come on up to sit and move into a prone position. Now, because of what happens for a lot of us on the prone position on your front body with the toes, it can be super uncomfortable to either tuck your toes under, as we were talking about, Sue, or even if you have, for example, an ankle or foot strain, we might want to drape the feet over the blanket. Okay, so I'm going to put the blanket under my feet. And now I'm going to do a strange thing, which you can choose not to do, of course, because the whole point of this practice is to sort of wander around in the terrain without, walking towards stuff that looks problematic. Okay. So the idea is that you're supine or prone on your front body, prone, tops of the legs are down. Now, if you wish, as a sensory tool, you can grab your bolster and place it on your shoulder blades and the back of your tailbone. I don't usually want it on my head. So I want the bolster lower down than my head and neck. If it comes up that way, it doesn't matter. But the idea here with the bolster, and you can do it with a blanket, you can do it with nothing. You can just bring your attention to your back body. I bring my chin to a tuck position. And if I find that's claustrophobia inducing, I can instead stack my hands under my forehead. But what I'd love to do is find a way for me to bring my nose and chin to point straight down. So I'm looking for that neutrality in the neck. Then, pressing the tailbone and pubic bone down into the mat, I realize, oh no, I need a blanket underneath because this is super uncomfortable. If you're a person for whom that's not true, you're good. But you can even do this sneaky thing I'm doing right now, which is to keep my bolster there, put my blanket down. Okay, my bolster's falling off, and I'm going to have to do a little reboot because that was uncomfortable. If you had that experience, please take the time to put that blanket down underneath you. And that means the blanket is all the way from your chest under your pelvis. So not just one small blanket rectangle, but a bigger one. Now here we are. So take your time. I'll meet you here. And we start by pressing your pubic bone down. Now, the idea is that the question is whether we can scoop the tailbone so far down, pubic bone so far down, and pull the belly button so far up, and slide your buttocks so far towards your heels that you can even start to feel your low back approach the bolster. And then gently relax and let everything go. And take a deep breath in and exhale once more. So you notice that the posterior tilt is also a movement of your pubic bone up towards your nose and your buttocks down towards your heels and back to natural. Inhaling, exhale, posterior tilt. So it's a little bit of it changes the posterior tilt to be even more of a pulling vertically of your pubic bone up towards your nose and the sliding of your buttocks down towards your heels, not just a pressing into the floor. Does that make sense? It's like a tighter curl. And then relax. Then press the pubic bone down, squeeze your buttocks, release your chin a little bit closer to your chest and reach your left leg high. You'll feel the bolster. And lower your left leg. Keep the pubic bone pressing, navel in. Reach your right leg any amount. Feel the bolster. Now, you can keep going one leg at a time, pressing the pubic bone down as much as you can, even when the leg lifts. And then finally, for those of you for whom it's weirdly manageably comfortable, try lifting and lowering both legs. Now, unless I push my bolster down a little bit, I can't feel the bolster with my legs. But if I do push the bolster back down towards my feet a little bit, as I keep the pubic bone pressing, I'm trying to bring my thigh bones up into the bolster. And that can help me straighten out my knees a little bit. I try to push the bolster up with my straight legs. Breathing into the length I'm creating in the front of the pelvis, which can be super beneficial. And then rest when you need to. Maybe I turn my head to one side. Maybe I bend my knees and push the bolster away a little bit and gently windshield wiper the legs from side to side. One last thing, you can always jettison the bolster if you find it irritating and stupid. Just drop it aside, no problem. As my daughter would say, rude, but that's fine. Now, pubic bone pressing. Now, the tops of the feet, you might be a toe tuck person, you might be tops of the foot on the blanket person, whichever one works for you, but let's try to straighten the knees. Press the pubic bone down, squeeze the navel in and up, and now breathing, lift your legs and your head. Maybe you feel the bolster on your shoulders. You can always use your hands to slide your bolster further up towards your head, further down towards your legs. Eventually, when you lift up into your Shalabhasana, you might find that the places where you contact the bolster change depending on how high you go. You do not need to lift past a certain point. Any amount of hovering of your arms, head, and legs can be super strengthening. So we're not moving into a degree of back bend that's inappropriate for your body. You might even like to reach your arms up and back, but for some shoulder joints, it feels way better to keep the arms low, but reach for your outer ankles. You can still engage the muscles all around the rotator cuff to great benefit, but without tweaking the shoulder. So notice if you're a person whose arms like to go up, or maybe further down towards your feet in the direction of your outer ankles. One more breath in your lift if you're lifting. Beautiful, Sarah. Yep. And then down you come. Relax. Kick off your bolster if you have it. Let's do our windshield wipers in a circle. So circle your shins, flexing your feet if your feet aren't feeling tired and uncomfortable because of flexing. And then go the other way. Round you go. All right. Now for a very gentle Sphinx pose, I like again having the blanket under the feet because it takes some of the pressure off of my the arthritis in my toe joints. But for some of you, you don't need the blanket and you can certainly kick it away at any point. Legs and feet hips distance apart, posterior tilt. Maybe even put your hands on your low back or simply bring your attention there as you squeeze your buttock muscles. You can even try to lift your frontal hip points off of the mat so your pubic bone is pressing, your tailbone is down, but the top of your pelvis, your belly button, are trying to withdraw from the floor. Then bring your elbows onto the mat in front of you and see if you can lift your head. Maybe creep up onto your elbows, creating a V shape with your hands towards each other and elbows wide. And ultimately, Sphinx pose is usually done with the elbows right under the shoulders for the classical shape. But any decrease in the curve of the spine that's needed can come by bringing your elbows further forward and further outward from right to left. Breathing here. Now, I actually like to do a variation of this, which looks like this. So my pubic bone is pressing firmly, my buttocks are squeezing firmly, and I'm trying to lift my belly button. I lift my chest, but try not to shrug the shoulders. It takes me a few minutes to move my shoulders away from my ears, but not lift my chin. Now, for some, this is enough. And then you come down and rest. Oh, thank God. For others, from this Sphinx, you might find it strangely reasonable to bring your right hand out to the right in a spider finger position with your elbow high. And then come back in and try the same thing on the left, spider finger. Yeah, so from the front, looks like this. I'm up in my Sphinx and I go like that. Pubic bone is pressing. And I come back in and I go like that. Not everybody's going to find that to be so lovely. If you like, you can even go out with both, ignoring my feet here, pubic bone pressing, shoulder blades together, and then lower back down, keeping your hands there. Pubic bone pressing the whole time, squeeze the shoulder blades together, long neck, and then you can slowly lift up and lower down. Let this be very gooey. Pubic bone is pressing, buttocks are squeezing. One or two more, only if you're finding this to be kind of pleasant. And try not to shrug the shoulders. It's very natural that we would shrug when we do it, but try to not shrug at all during the entire exercise. Yes, very good, beautiful. These are lovely. And then down you come, slowly windshield wiper. This time I'm going to do the crisscross windshield wiper, which means I cross my right shin over my left, kick both feet wide, cross left over right, kick. Yeah. And I do notice that when my body's really warmed up, I feel this very much less than when I'm not warmed up. So you might find it a little stretchy. Okay. All right. And then super gently roll to the side and come on up. Cat cow. Sometimes hands and knees feels great. Other times it's way, way, way more comfortable to be on your forearms. I do in tabletop also like to put a blanket under the tops of my feet and make sure that blanket's high enough, rolled up enough that my feet can truly drape and not feel stressed out. Now, I love a cat cow where the cat is backwards. So it's a pulling back into cat pose where the buttocks might even all the way sink to the heels or perhaps not that far. And then gently forward into cow where I squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift the chin. And then pull back into cat, slow motion. Sometimes I even tent up onto my fingertips so I have very little weight in my hands. Most of the weight stays in my lower body, and my hands are a good 10, 12 inches in front of my armpits. So sometimes people can find an interesting, different sort of experiencing cat cow on their fingertips, but without shifting the weight very much into the hands, hardly at all. Couple more cats and cows if these are feeling comfortable. I do find that I'm ending up sinking my hips all the way down. And as I do so, I get this sort of nice stretch through the armpit chest, which I kind of like. Exhaling and inhaling. Let the breath link to the movement. Inhale and exhale. Can you feel it? Exaggerate it. Rest in it and let it help you deal with the tedium. All right. And now I'd like to do a thread the needle. And for some people, thread the needle means that you don't put weight on your shoulder. And you may be on your forearm instead of putting weight on your hand. I'll show it from the front. I always widen out my knees because for me, I feel like I have a stabler base, a more stable base and more freedom in my hips for thread the needle when my knees are wide. You may find you are just fine with your knees hips distance. Again, the blanket under your feet may be really, really helpful. Now, for thread the needle without putting weight down, I open up to the side. Maybe my arm doesn't lift because my shoulder's bugging me today. Or maybe the elbow lead for collarbone is broad, my neck is long. And then I don't put weight on my arm, so I navel to spine, curl in, and as if to lower down, but I don't all the way. And then I unspool. For others, down you go. Maybe even that elephant trunk comes around and finds a peanut in your pocket over here, or not, right? And then from there, navel to spine, lumbar spine flattening, any amount of twist back to the right. So let's try it on the right-hand side. If you need to be on your forearm, it simply means the space you have is less, but you can do very similar things. Just let your elbow move as it needs to. When you go from side to side, you can also be on your block. Yeah. So if you need to be up on a block, I often will go low block if I'm on a block here. And then either weight bearing or not on the shoulder. Let it get very melty, buttery, and then slowly back up. But as you're lifting and opening and twisting, the navel to the spine action is crucial. So there's a real feeling that you're collecting your abdominal muscles and not letting your back swan into a swanny curve. Instead, there's a little bit of a lumbar flattening action. As you're twisting open, you're engaging your abdominal muscles. And as you curl in and down, you're relaxing and melting. And we'll do four-ish on one side, taking your time. And again, linking breath to movement. Yeah, Sue, beautiful. Yeah, that's it, Kathleen. Yep. Breathing. Thanks, Milton. There you go, Terry. Collarbone broad, shoulder blades down your back. That's it, Louise. Yeah. Is it Laura? Nicely done, Lisa. Good. Protecting your shoulder once you've done four on one side. Yes, Laura Brewer. Good. How much weight feels appropriate? Nice, Jessica. I love the work with the arm, not lifting when it's not appropriate for you. That's it. That's it, Sherry. Good. Long spine. Nice. That's it, Carolyn. When you're ready to do side B, let it be an exploration. The first time is often like, I don't know. How's this going to go today? Maybe I look down to the right instead of looking up at my left hand. Then as I curl down, again, belly softens, everything softens down. Truth be told, if I'm not putting weight on my shoulder and head, then it isn't as soft, right? It's more of a swing under. core stays engaged. But if I do put my shoulder and head down, then I allow a little more ease, relaxation, and melting. Yeah. Breathing into it. Four-ish each side. Nice, Sarah. Yeah. Shoulder blades. Yeah. That's it. Both Sarahs. Yeah. Gorgeous. Nice, Corky. Wow, Kathleen and Corky, that's beautiful. And Terry's joining too. Now you guys look like the beautiful skaters, like all in a row doing a beautiful skating thing. Nice, Laura. Good action of the core to keep your spine long, a little less shrug of the shoulders if you can. Nice. All right, and take a break and come on out. Child's pose, puppy pose. So for some, child's pose is great. We love child's pose. We sink our buttocks to the heels, we bring the upper body forward, and Bob's your uncle, as they say, right? It's so great. But for others, not so much. It's really kind of not that comfortable. So maybe you're a person who goes roll into your back and you hug your knees into your chest. Or maybe you actually kind of like child's pose, but you just don't go that low. You might need your toes tucked under. You might need that blanket under your feet. So take a moment, and I'd like to do three-part breath in child's pose or your favorite variation thereof, which means we breathe into the belly, the rib cage, and the collarbone to fill up completely. And then exhale, ha, and let it all go. And then again, two more times at your own pace. Big, big breath. Belly, ribs, collarbone. Let's do your third one. Slowly begin to creep around on your mat. Take the blankets away so you have free mat space. Have your two blocks handy, and we'll use a bolster as well. The two blocks will go tall. And if you happen to have more blocks and would like to use more, for example, if you're I'm shrinking, I'm sorry to say. So I'm now 5'5", and I used to be 5'6". So anyway, I'm shrinking. I don't need more than two blocks. You might not, you might find actually more than two would be great. Now, where I'd like to start is with your two blocks tall standing in front of you. So you can face any direction you'd like to face, but see if your blocks can be about maybe 8 to 10 inches in front of you, and take your bolster with you to stand up tall. Now, the bolster, it'd be kind of fun. You know, like how you go to the beach and you balance the rocks, and the people, they take the rocks and they put one, and then they put one on top. And it's amazing, right? So we get to do that with our bolster. No, we're not really going to do that. But the idea is your bolster is standing tall and you step your feet either side of the bolster. So the bolster is right in between your inner arches. The blocks are not too far away, because as we lean forward in a forward fold, we may end up using the blocks with our either a head or hands or both. Now, with your feet, the bolster is in between your feet, but not underneath your hips. So the bolster is either tilted forward. If you're tall, it could be vertical. But the idea is you pincer the bolster with your knees, so that when you're bending your knees, squeezing your bolster, the bolster isn't very much behind you, but it's about half and half. Yeah, that's it. Now, standing up really tall here, we squeeze the glutes, draw the navel in and up, and take a moment to see for your shoulders. Do I feel comfortable taking my right arm up with my elbow in and my palm facing behind? Or is this shoulder not so great today? And then we do the other and we check and see. With the palm facing in, what's happening in your shoulder joint is different than when you're lifting up this way, palm facing down. So it can be for many of us much more comfortable to lift the arm in this sort of flamenco mode than when we lift up like that suitcase hold, right? Classic rotator cuff injury means this is really hard and painful, but weirdly enough, this is actually manageable sometimes. Yeah, so we don't force it. So we lift up, squeeze the bolster, scoop the navel in and up, and then float the arms down, but keep the head high. Then draw the navel in and up, push your buttocks back in space, and push down on your bolster, hugging your elbows in. Squeeze the bolster with your knees, plant your feet, and sink your buttocks back. Push the buttocks back until your low ribs might even come to the bolster, and then maybe transfer your hands onto your blocks. Now, the shape of the bolster might not be appropriate for your body, and you certainly can drop it, push it away, cast it aside, anything you need to do. I'm actually straightening my knees a little bit, and that brings my bolster into a slightly different position as I lean my trunk onto the bolster. I'm squeezing it with my knees to maintain its integrity, and now I can relax my chest onto the bolster in a way that's kind of weird, but kind of nice. Now I can stack my fists and rest my head on my hands, or maybe even bring the blocks in and let my head hang. Sometimes I need to shift the bolster back a little bit, or shift it forward a little bit, or get rid of it. But the idea is that you're supported on your bolster. You can shift the bolster more onto the belly and a little bit off of your sternum too, to create more a different kind of support for your low back. Now, what I like about this is that for some of us, when forward folding with no support doesn't feel workable, sometimes the bolster provides enough support that you can let your upper body hang in a way that you normally would not do comfortably. And then again, we breathe into the low back, a feeling of pancaking, broadening your low back. Sometimes I'll even bring my hands up there and feel the diaphragm push out from under my ribs, expanding my back body because my front body is squashed into the bolster. So that sends my lungs backwards and outwards. Taking your time here, deconstructing in any way you like. For some, it's a little bit more of I can hold a little longer because of the support that I'm garnering from this bolster. But that's not true for everybody. So if that's like, not really working for me, then keep the squeeze of the bolster, keep the bend of the knees, pull the belly in and up, and bring my weight back up into my hands. Yes. And then everybody slowly come on back up. Take your time. Once you're vertical, cast your bolster aside, and we'll do some soft shoulder rolls. I find that if I try to keep my elbows on my rib cage when I do my shoulder rolls, it creates a slightly different kind of action than if I do this. It's this, elbows in versus this. And so you can choose which one you like better, which one feels better. And then sometimes people actually like that because it feels like it helps you make space in your chest and shoulders. Bless you. All right. Take a moment to shake up. Okay. Now, we haven't done triangle pose in a very long time. So I'm going to put one block behind me and to the right. So if you're facing the computer this way, your blocks will be towards Dunkin' Donuts and Mass Ave. So on that southeast corner of your mat. And then on this side, your blocks will be to the northeast corner of your mat. Well, yeah, you guys in there, northeast corner. Here, northeast corner too. All right. One block flat, one block tall. Now, you can always put the flat block tall, and you can even actually grab another block. You can get any number of blocks you want. We have a lot of blocks in the studio. And what I'd like to do is bring you to the middle of your mat, facing the long edge of your mat. And so that when you look behind you and to the right, that's where you find your blocks. Yeah, exactly. Standing in the middle of your mat. Front to back, side to side, middle, hands on hips. Now, check down and see as you create symmetry in your legs and feet that your legs are as close as they're comfortable being so that your feet may or may not actually touch. And then microbend your knees and spread your feet. That's it, Terry. So it's symmetrically opposite. You just want those blocks behind you and to your right. So if you look at Milton, you can see his are behind and meant to the right. There you go. That's correct. Perfect. Voila. So what we'll be doing now with the knees bent is to step your right foot in front of your blocks and step your left foot wide, comfortably wide. That's it. Now, take a moment to lift all 10 toes, spread your toes, and notice if you can unlock your knees. Okay. Then any amount, take a moment to see for you, what is it like to swivel your left heel leftward and put it back? And put your heel out to the side a little bit, left heel out and then back. And then left heel out, kind of Elvis-y, right? Then keep your left heel out if it felt okay. If it didn't feel good, it's okay for your left toes to point straight forward, but heel out can be helpful for your hips. Then turn your right toes out 90 degrees, rocking onto your heel, and take a moment to bend and straighten your right knee a few times, hands on your hips. Emphasize the pressure of your heel, way more pressure on your heel. Your toes are more like, feathers and stuff than structural elements, yeah? Feathers, ribbons, etc. All right. Now, bending and straightening your right knee. Use your right hand to gently nudge your knee towards your right baby toe. So the angle of the right thigh is parallel to the long edge of your mat. And when in doubt, slightly to the right corner of the mat by your baby toe. That's the angling of the right thigh. Hold in the right knee bend. Press down with your heel. And then stand up really tall. Take your ribs and lift them out of your hips. You can even hold your low ribs and pull them up. Now, any amount, see if you can straighten your left leg, turn your chin, look down and examine, say hello to that distant left leg. How straight can it be? Gorgeous. And then float your left arm up and look left. That's it. That's it. Now, bring your right arm up and look right. Now, before we lean to the right, turn both arms up, palms up, reach both arms into a V shape. And as you push the floor away with your right heel, cartwheel to the right, bending your right knee a little bit and float your right hand to the top block. Now, if the top block is too low, you can always turn your bottom block up on its height. Oh, now that's better for me. Up I go. I can always put my right forearm on my thigh instead. I don't need the blocks if they're too low, or I can tap them into place. It's really fun. I recommend it. Open your chest. So the goal is to open your chest now towards the ceiling, but maybe to look down at your right leg at the same time. So your whole body begins to flatten. Ooh, yeah. Take your time, bend and straighten that right knee. Beautiful. That's it. Julia, nice. That's it. Laura, good. Elbow on the thigh can help keep you feeling that there's more space in your left armpit. Can you straighten your left knee a little bit more? Maybe squeeze your left buttock. Breathing, opening your chest. Yes. That's it, Terry. Good. That left arm up and open. Beautiful. Nicely done. And keeping that knee over the toes. There you go. Exactly. Long spine. Yeah, beautiful. Sit. Taking your time, settling in. One more breath here. And slowly, very nice, up you come. Shoulder blades. Yes, that's it. A sternum lift for me. Yes. And out you come. Slowly, toe heel, toe heel, toe heel. Out you come. So that was an endless triangle pose. These poses can all be done with the arms not in the canonical shapes. Yeah, so if it's bugging the shoulder. Yeah, so if it was bugging your arm to bring it up, then I often will bring it down here or keep it here. Yeah, and sometimes I'll even bring it here. Yeah, even because it's kind of nice to feel the nervous system goes, oh, someone's giving me a hug. And that can be nice for the shoulder. Yeah. So when in doubt, let the arm come in. Whenever you're in doubt about a limb, an extremity, especially your arms, keep them close. Like if you go to a younger medical class, they'll always strap the injured part of you closer into your midline. And that's really, it's like, okay, let's add it to the center of mass where it's nice and stable. It's like you hold it, if you're going to hold a baby, you don't hold them out here. You hold them right close to the center of mass, right? Same with any part of your body that needs care. Bring it in. Okay. All right. So placing your blocks if you use them, ignoring them if you didn't, if you thought they were stupid. Okay. Rude. Yeah. Say that. Ah, if you would use them on the right, we'll use them again on the left, which means now they go to the left side of your mat behind you. And so that when we're facing towards the computer here, yes, your guys' will all be to the north, southwest corner of your mat. Yeah. I'm assuming Mass Ave is east-west, which it may not be. So God help me if, yeah. Oh, yeah. So there we are, stepping your feet wide. Nicely done. Now, Trikonasana pose, we think it's about putting the left hand to the left leg, but it's not, or the blocks. It's not. See me sidling around here? I'm sidling backwards so my blocks are close because I'd like to be able to reach them if I find I want to. I want to be close enough to them that I can put my hand on them. Now, once again, kick your right heel out and bring it back. And then swivel on the ball of the foot, right heel out, spread the toes and back. And then one more time. this seems like such a trivial thing to do, but we're building proprioception in the feet and building a felt sense of the subtleties of how we place the feet affecting the rest of your whole pose. And even just a little bit of an internal rotation of your back foot can change significantly how your hips feel and therefore where your left knee is going to go. So with your right toes turned in a little bit, or straight ahead if you prefer the not turned in business, then we rotate your left toes out 90 degrees, put your left hand to your inner left knee and straighten and bend a few times to warm up the joints. Nice. And the beauty of doing yoga in the morning is that this movement through your joints and lengthening of these muscles helps set your muscle length for the day in a really nice way. So if you can do your stretching in the morning, doing kind of work stuff in the morning, work your body, it can be really, really helpful. All right, so hold in the left knee, bend, press down through your left heel, but lift your body up. It's as if you could take your ribs and pop them off your hips, right? Then gaze back at your right leg, spread the toes of your right foot, straighten your right knee, and float your right arm up to shoulder height. Look right. Then keep that and slowly turn your gaze to the left. Nice. Now draw your shoulder blades down your back and float your left arm up. Nice. Then turn your palms face up, shrug your shoulders up, and then down. Press into your left heel. Then lift the arms up. For some, it's nice to go here. I like here because it's easier on my shoulder joint. And then as we cartwheel to the left, I straighten my left leg almost all the way, reach out over my left leg and maybe bring my left hand to the block. Or maybe today I put my left hand on my slightly bent left knee thigh. Open up the chest, reach your right hand any amount to the ceiling. If your right shoulder is not feeling that great, you can let your right arm rest right on your trunk or even grab your left shoulder. Looking down can be nice for the neck. You can also tap your lower block into place so that your left hand rests lightly and comfortably, roughly below your left shoulder. Long spine, squeeze your right buttock. A little bit left knee to left, Milton for me, that's it, yeah. Sit Sarah breathing. Yes, nice work. Gorgeous. That's it, Corky. Excellent. Sternum lift for me, Corky. Just a little more. That. Beautiful, Kathleen. Yes, Sue, nicely done. Very good. Nice straight knee. Yeah, beautiful, Lynn. Long spine. Very good for your strengthening, lengthening. Good for osteoporosis. Very good, Sarah H. Exactly. That's it, Louise. Long spine. Reach through those fingertips. Yes, beautiful. These are gorgeous. Look at these hip alignments, everybody. Nice. One more long spine. Reach, reach, reach. Bring the crown of your head to the front door, Julia. Beautiful. Yes. Laura B. Beautiful. Yeah, I love this. Shoulder blades down the back. All right. Nice, beautiful action through the hip. There we go. Yes. And then slowly, gorgeous, Jessica. That's it, Sherry. Sherry, come all the way up. Nice, Shelly. Down you come. Take a break. Toe heel, toe heel, toe heel. Now, neck and shoulder release. Option to bring one arm, doesn't matter right or left. And the thing about releasing the shoulder for some is that it can be beneficial to try a super soft version, a really gentle, letting the arm hang so quietly and with such a small movement that you can focus on this melting feeling in the shoulder. Maybe the gradual drop of the head helps with that. A feeling of completely letting it melt like an icicle in the sun. Ah. For others, it feels really quite helpful to let the sway, the pendular sway of the arm, bring some ease into the joint, shoulder, and neck. Yeah, take your time. If you'd like to do the other side, we'll do the other side as well. Sometimes it actually feels good to shake it out a little bit too. Yes, there's lots of ways to do this. Some people do both arms, in sort of a guerrilla dance maneuver. Other times it's a figure eight. Yeah, so take your time, choose the modality that feels right to you, and then we'll find our way up to standing for one more standing and balancing pose. So we can take a long time in triangle pose. And it is a balancing pose. What I'd like to go for now is into a different balancing pose where you use two blocks and you use the wall. Now, the blocks are meant to be somewhat helpful in terms of balance and putting weight, but mostly they're for balance, not as much for putting weight. Now, the tricky bit is to see where do I need to stand so that I can put my foot on the wall behind me. But the key, the absolute key to this one is that the balance, instead of being into my hands like this, my feet are way back. Instead, my feet are right up underneath me. In terms of the blocks, therefore, instead of being here, the blocks are forward. In terms of the wall, that means the wall is further back. So instead of being right up at the wall and falling away from it, I'm further from the wall and I put, oh, that's a bit too far. See, the idea is that my right foot is up on the wall, both knees can be bent, and I futz around until I get to the point where my front leg is forward of my hip. My left knee is bent. Hook the left thumb in the hip crease and see what height block is going to work. For some, it's going to feel better to put one block flat, for example, one block tall. Breathing here. Yeah, Carolyn, nice idea to grab a chair. Absolutely. Putting your forearms on a chair. Tucking your chin to look to see if your right foot can be parallel to the wall so that your toes point straight down. That's it. hmm And then there you go, Terry. Yep, that wall is movable, isn't it? There you go. Ah, the wall. So try bringing one block flat, one block tall instead of having two blocks tall, and see if your bottom foot, your left leg, can be far enough forward that you're falling back into the wall. So the weight is in your heel of your front foot, and you can even bend the knee of the leg that's up on the wall. So yeah, even a little further forward, Lisa, with your left foot, I would say 6 to 8 inches forward, more than you think. That's better. Do you feel it a little differently when you're further from the wall? That's it. That's it, Julia. Yeah, there you go. That's it, Laura. Breathing. The heel of the bottom of the supporting leg. Exactly. That's it, Laura. Even a little further forward, Laura W, with your left foot, maybe 1 inch further forward, and then fall into the wall. That's it, Sarah H. Yes, drop your right hip down for me, even another half tick. Yes, you got it. That's it, Sue. Yep. Very good, Lynn. Nice, Milton. There you go. Very good, Sarah. Yeah, it's a stretch for that right hamstring, isn't it? There you go. Take your time. That's it, Sherry. Yes, you will have weight on your hands. Absolutely. Yep. And then come on out and take a break. That's a pain in the butt, isn't it? Pain in the hamstrings, right? The standing leg is doing a ton of work. Yeah. Yeah. That's very stabilizing. I'm sorry for bad news, but yes, it's that hamstring. Now, the thumb in the hip crease, pulling the outer hip back. I'll show it from the side. As you bring your left foot up onto the wall, the hip crease of the standing leg, I grab it with my thumb, pull it back to square my hips, and that allows me to feel a little bit more balanced from right to left. The left foot on the wall is the easy part. The bottom leg. That's it, Terry. Good work. Yeah, any amount of lift of that back leg. Yes. Nice, Milton. That's it, Corky. Probably, yes. Bringing that front leg. There you go, Corky. You got it. Nice work. That's it, Kathleen. Yes, Sarah, breathing. And if you want, Sarah, you could bring your right foot a little closer back to the wall and do the balance without putting your hands down. So you could bring your arms into airplane arms, collarbone broad. Yeah. Or use the blocks as needed. That's it, Sarah H. Lower your left toes for me a little more. Rotate. You got it. That's it, Lisa. Hard to do, right? That's it, Sherry. Right? That's it. Drop your left hip for me. Yeah, you did it. Exactly. Nice work. Good proprioception. It's strengthening of the lower back. Yes. Carolyn, good. Laura, good. That's it, Julia. This is very good for osteoporosis. Yeah. All right. Finally, we get to lie down. Oh, it's okay if we stay another half hour, right? Is that fine? Okay. All right. Come on down. Figure four. Now, for me, figure four, I love to do it with some height. For others, you'll find you prefer to not do it with height. A real quick demo, if you do it at the wall with your left foot on the wall and your right heel on your left thigh, for some, using the wall like this means you don't have to hold onto your legs, and it can be very nice. The challenge is to see how far you need to be from the wall so that you can have even hips, even shoulders, rather than having your hips swing or sway to the right or to the left. And if it's too easy, you scooch in closer to the wall and see if you can keep your tailbone down on the floor. Yeah, so if you're doing figure four in the middle of the room with height or no, you can use a strap behind your left leg, place your right ankle on top of your left thigh, and hug your left knee into the chest. For some people, it helps to flex your right foot strongly to give your right knee, excuse me, your right knee a little bit more stability. Yeah, for others, that doesn't really impact your knee experience. So take your time in your figure four. If you are a person who prefers pigeon, please feel free to slink into your pigeon with your right leg forward and your left leg back. And notice if you look at your left leg, if you're in pigeon, figure four, can you see that your left knee is on the left side of your pubic bone? It wants to drift over to the middle, but not really. Over time, what we'd like to do is keep your left knee in line with your left hip and keep your hips more square. That's it. There we go. That's it. How's that for you, Sue? Okay, good, good, good. We're looking for a stretch in your right hip, but that's not too uncomfortable. Good. And then that looks great. Very good. Yes. And Sarah, if you want to do the quad stretch in your pigeon, you can, of course, do that. And you might say, no, thank you. And then the other question is where you put your front foot, in with the foot or forward with the foot. As long as your knee is okay, you have the choice. I tend to not bring it parallel to the front of the mat, but that is only because for my knee joint, that doesn't feel so good. So it's really your choice. And then just maintaining in your pigeon a little bit of a feeling that your front leg is always pushing down a little bit. So we're not just sort of squashing into the mat, but there's a gentle vigilance there. It's like there's traffic, you know? Very good. Let's switch sides when you're ready. Take your time. Ah, Julia, love the strap. That's great. Strap under the instep of the foot. That's it, Terry. And for your back, it might feel really good just to let your tailbone curl in and up, and that's totally fine to do. Yeah, and if you want, you can put that arm inside. It's not that easy to get it in there, but that might feel really nice for your back to let it be more of a curl. Yeah. And then we can even put this under your head so that you get, okay. Yeah. Does that feel okay? Yeah. There you go. So mostly for people when I'm doing figure four, I encourage them not to curl their tailbone up, but for you, the opposite. I think it's nice for you to get that lengthening there, yes. Right? Because this kind of thing is the bomb for you, right? Yeah. All right. So taking your time. Yes, exactly. So just peeking down to see that your right knee is still in line with your right hip. Yes. How's that feeling? Yeah. Great. Yeah. So you don't need to overdo. Yeah. And interlacing or not, however you wish is good. And just release your shoulders for me. Yeah. There you go. That's it, Laura. Yep. Yep. That's it. Perfect. Yeah. Excellent, Lisa. Good. Yes. No, yep, you would have to scooch pretty close to the wall. So you did a perfectly great thing, which was to grab onto your leg and bring it to you. That works really well. Yes. You notice that? So yes, you can kind of play with that. Especially if your shoulder's really hurting, it's nice to do it at the wall to where you're not using your arms at all. Beautiful, Sherry. Good. Yes, these are lovely. Wow, nice, Carolyn. Look at your hip alignment. That's fantastic. Exactly. Exactly. Yes. For people with certain back issues that we curl it up, but for most people, I like to push the tailbone forward and down. So if you were a lemur, your tail would be going into Dunkin' Donuts. Right. Yeah. Perfect. All right, let's move into Shavasana. You know how lemurs have those amazing tails, right? So amazing. They're all fluffy and beautiful. All right, Shavasana. Now, if there's a stretch or a pose that you think, hello, it should have been blah, blah, blah. You get to do blah, blah, blah. That's awesome. But if Shavasana is your blah, 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 then here's where we go. I'm a huge fan of my fave here, so-called Stonehenge, 2 blocks skyscraper mode, about 8 inches apart, one bolster balanced on top, and calves resting softly, easily over. Oh man, oh man. The nervous system just goes, Shavasana. And then blanketing if you're cool. Socks are great. You do you. And your breath will also do you. You don't have to do your breath. Your breath will do you. It's really quite wonderful. Just let the body be breathed. And now this is the point where you're kind of gathering wool, right? You're not consciously manufacturing a stance here. You're just doing, the stance is doing you. Shavasana runs the program. So give yourself a chance now to not have to do anything special. Just let go. Just let the breath breathe itself. Let your brain soften in its warm, watery compartment. Soften the muscles in your face and let go of the tensions, conscious and subconscious. Imagine you could just let go of all the contractions that are not needed in your body. Every tiny little actin and myosin, little contractile element that isn't needed just goes, okay, ah. Now you have nothing to do. Now, very gently begin to deepen your breathing. And at this point, you may choose to stay resting, and that's completely fine. No one else is coming into this space. You can stay where you are. But if the idea of very slowly bringing your body back into the room and then over onto your side body and potentially up to a seated position doesn't seem like such a bad plan, you might slowly make your way there. Of course, any seated position you choose, we want it to be one that's truly relaxing. I often sit in a sort of half simple cross-legged position by stretching one leg out, and that eases my hips in a way that's profoundly more comfortable. But any way that you choose to sit is welcome, including lying down. Let the palms gently come together and actually bring your fingerprints together, but separate your palms just a little bit so you can still feel the heat of the palm opposite, but not squish them together. And then relax your shoulders. And then go to the space in front of your spine. Now, starting at the belly and going right up through the chest, imagine you could bring yourself right to the area right in front of your spine, right in the center of you. Your spinal column is at the very back of your back, right? It's the back line. Can you go right in front of it and come right to that middle and go straight up from the middle, right up through the crown of your head, so that your rib cage gently lifts without either an anterior or posterior tilt, neither flaring the ribs nor caving them in, but just floating up, up, up. Soften your eyes. Imagine your eyelashes are very, very heavy. Let them be soft. Take a deep, full breath in, fill up, and let that go. Ah, deep breath in and let it go. Now I'd like to close class with one Om, and please feel free to just listen. If Om is not your thing, just listening is lovely. We'll take a deep inhale and then Om as long as you like. Om. Big cleansing breath. And let something go. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for coming. It's so great to have you here. Tomorrow I'll be here from 2 to 5 doing a strengthen, lengthen, and realign your spine workshop. So please feel free to join us here. I'm hoping we'll be able to open up the partition. I'm not sure we will, but perhaps we'll see. And then next week I am away. Juin Cohen will be subbing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The following week I'm back. The rest of February, we will be going to visit our grandbaby at the end of February, but I'm going to be doing a different thing this time. Instead of only being away and having subs for everything, there are many classes I'll be teaching online only. So, for example, next week I'm gone. The following week I'm here. That next week after that, 2 classes will be taught online. I believe it's Wednesday, Friday. So I'll be online live, and I will be making a recording of that. And so you can always request that recording also if you've been there on live, or even if you're just like at home and you're like, can I just have a recording? It's fine. I can put it up on YouTube. Yeah. So I want to provide a little bit more of a contact resource while I'm away and have it instead of me just being absolutely gone, that you'll be able to tune in live through the Arlington Center or request for me to send you put the link up on YouTube after the fact if you don't mind doing it, without the connection. Like with today with Debbie, she had that connection, that idea of putting the strap. It was so great. And she's online and there was an interaction there that I really value. So I'm going to try that instead of just being absent because I feel like that's just a bit much. And I don't like that total loss of connection. And I like the ability of people to be able to, interact more. So we'll give it a whirl. We'll see how it goes. And it's all on my website. My website is a mess, but under yoga classes, there it says schedule of substitutions, schedule of subs. It's the complete list of dates and exactly who's here and who's not. And I'm going to send it out as an email too. But on my website, if you go there under yoga classes, one of the pull downs is schedule for subs, and that has all of it, including an online only. So you'll know when that's going to be. And Chip's going to have it on his schedule too. So next week I'm gone, the week after I'm here. And then from there, it's a bit doop, 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 kind of a mixture. Okay. So thank you all so much. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Sue. Thank you for coming. All right. Oh, and I've started to the Vermont retreat is now open. I've got a couple of reservations already made, so you can go to my website and you can put down your deposit on the website. I haven't sent out the da-da announcement on it, but since you guys are all here, I may as well let you know it's live now. And I have already got a couple reservations for certain people, and for others, there's lots of space. So thank you. Yes, 100%. Because the big, little guy, he's fine. But Webby needs to know that his universe has not been, destroyed. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Terry. End of October, October 23rd through 6th in Brattleboro. Yes, under retreats. Yeah. Debbie, thank you. That was terrific. I
Oh, you're
really,
welcome.
really
And
loved that.
well, you use the strap a lot, and I just use it all the time now. I learned it from you. So
Fantastic. It reminds me of that there was a terrible joke with regard to an ice cream cone in the forehead, but anyway, that's sort of what I thought you meant. Is that, or
it's
did you
very
have it with
supportive.
two
Well, I have
hands?
it with one hand. Well, you can
Yeah,
do
I
one
like
or
one
two.
hand.
And I
I
like
like
it
the
when you
one hand.
wrap it around your head and your feet and just the whole body's in it. That you taught us. It's very
Yes.
comfortable. I just love the strap. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure, Debbie. Thank you so much. Yeah, what an honor. It's so great to have this community of yogis. So
That's
thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Susanna, great to have you.
Oh, great class. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Sounds great. All righty. Bye bye.
Uh-huh.
Be well.
Bye.
Too.
Bye bye, Debbie. Love you.